upon the wall. The lamp is trimmed and low. A phonograph begins to turn in murmurs soft and slow. You lift your hand to mine, as if by old design. The velvet rug receives again these faithful steps of thine. The steps we know still carry us so near, through every tender year. The steps we know. The embers breathe and sigh. The curtains stir with rain. You murmur, darling, by my cheek, and youth comes back again. One chair leans near the fire. One teacup keeps its gleam. A little hush of starlight falls across our quiet dream. No grand serenade was needed, no trumpet from afar, only your shoulder close to mine, and one obedient star. The steps we know still carry us so near, through every tender year. The steps we know. The record thins to air. The last note lingers low. Still in the quiet room we keep. The steps our hearts both know. The river had not found its shine. The ropes were wet and black, and fog lay low along the posts, where mornings turn men back. You stood beside the ticket chain, with tar upon one sleeve, a pouch of fares against your waist, too still to make believe. The gulls cried over pilings there, a crate slid on the floor, and every coat along the rail brought April to the shore. An old man came with one brown cane, his hat held to his chest. The ferry bell had warned us once. The deckhands called the rest. You saw his foot test empty air between the dock and prow, then took the plank with both your hands and laid it gently down. Lay the plank slow, lay the plank slow, not for show and not for thanks, but so the weak may go. Lay the plank slow, I watched the river wait, and saw how grace can make a bridge from ordinary weight. The captain checked his pocket watch. A truck coughed near the shed. A woman tied her scarf again and turned her face ahead. You held the rail while he crossed through, not speaking of his pride, then lifted up his market bag and set it just inside. He nodded once and found a bench. The bell rang clear and thin. You pulled the plank back from the dock before the tide came in. My own fare lay warm in my glove, my errand plain and small, but something in that careful pause had changed the landing all. No one will name the river boards, the rope, the chain, the bell, or count the small delaying acts that help a person well. Yet some work holds the world in place by giving time its due. A plank set down before a step, a hand that thinks it through. Lay the plank slow, lay the plank slow, till the hurried morning learns what patient waters know. Lay the plank slow, no ribbon, rose or flame, only a crossing made with care, and no one called by name. The ferry moved, the dock grew pale, the fog began to clear, and on the wet boards where you stood, that quiet bridge stayed near.
The shutters met the winter street, the bench light stayed on low. One loop lay by the ledger line, one key beside the stove. You brought it in at 4:30, still warm from your thin wrist. The clasp had failed, the minute stopped at 6:15. You said it's only a little watch, and smiled as women do, as if a thing that held your day could matter less than you. So when the shop was closed and dim, and every footstep passed, I wound it once and set it near to hear if it would last. No vow was anywhere in that, no word I thought to start. Just your small watch, and after hours, the tick in the dark. Beneath an upturned jelly glass, it beat the counter thin. Among the springs and velvet trays and tiny brass within, I ought to have gone up to bed and left the lamp to die. Yet every little while I looked to see the hands go by. I only meant to make it right for Tuesday when you'd call. But all at once that patient sound outlived the shop and all. Some men keep letters in a drawer, a flower dry and stark. I only kept one borrowed watch and listened through the dark. By morning it had missed no step, the hands moved clean and true. I polished out the thumbprint there and wrapped it up for you. You said it's perfect now and smiled, then left before the spark. And all I had was one long night, the tick in the dark. The bench was bare by 10:30. The lamp had lost its gold. But sometimes when a room goes still and evening settles cold, I hear again that little watch take up its tender part, the sound of something not my own, still beating in the dark.
The cages woke before the street, their little wires rang, and April stood outside the glass while every yellow throat sang. You swept the seed husks from the shelf with one slow, careful hand, then filled the cup with millet grain and leveled off the sand. The rabbits slept in cedar shreds, the goldfish turned below. A boy pressed pennies to the pane and watched the finches go. You took one cage from near the light, not bright enough to stare, and tied a blue tag to its hook as if a name were there. Blue tag on the canary, small against the morning wire, told no song, and yet it seemed to steady all that choir. common errand turn almost holy for a day. You checked the latch and checked it twice, then moved the perch aside, so nothing sharp would catch a wing when carried on the ride. A woman came with shopping string, a schoolgirl chose a bowl. The bell above the doorway shook and let the sunlight roll. You said he startles if you rush, then lowered down your tone. And all at once that little cage looked less like being owned. No church stood near, no choir wore robes, no candle dressed the air. Only sawdust, seed and glass, and someone taking care. Yet there are ways a small life leaves that ask the room to see. A hand that knows how light to hold, what trembles to be free. Blue tag on the canary, tied before the child came in. Bright as April's smallest flag beside the painted tin. Blue tag on the canary, not ribbon, prize or claim, only proof that even song was gently given a name. The child went out with both hands still, the bell swung once above, and in the shop one empty hook kept ringing after love.
Twilight rests upon the wall, the lamp is trimmed and low. The phonograph begins to sing in accents soft and slow. You lift your hand to mine, as if by old design. The velvet rug remembers well this little step of thine. A little waltz to close the day in grace, with starlight on your face. A little waltz. The teacups have grown still, the fire has lost its flame. Yet when you smile and murmur, darling, the room is young again. The window keeps one star, the curtains breathe and sigh. A silver hush moves through the room, like music passing by. No grand serenade was needed, no trumpet from afar. Your shoulder near my own tonight outshines the brightest star. A little waltz to close the day in grace, with starlight on your face. A little waltz. The record turns to silence. The lamp grows faint and small. Still one sweet measure lingers on and blesses all the walls.
Twilight had left the window glass. The cobblestones were bright. A little bell gave one soft sigh and crossed into the night.
The velvet kept the carriage warm. The brass rail held its gleam. My silhouette beside the pane looked thinner than a dream.
We crossed the bridge above the cave, where starlight touched the black,
and every little silver chime seemed like a calling back,
till the bell went faint. The whole dark city seemed to sway and pull old afternoons my way, till the bell went faint. One woman left with parcel string,
one wan man with coat and cane.
Their footsteps found the cobblestones,
then vanished into rain.
I should have kept my hat in hand
and let the car move through,
yet every stop the bell grew small
and sounded more like you.
The window kept one thread of star.
The wires gave back a sigh.
A little hush of reverie
rode softly passing by.
No serenade came through the street,
no voice spoke out my name,
only the rays beneath the floor,
and all the night the same.
And yet I think some partings live,
not in the heart alone,
but in the way one silver note
can
till the bell went faint. The whole dark city seemed to sway and pull old afternoons my way, till the bell went faint. The final corner took the car. The lamps grew pale and few. Still one last ringing crossed the bridge and traveled on with you.
The studio front was locked by then. The portraits faced the wall, and underneath the Redroom lamp the shadows did not fall. You stood beside the chemical trays with water at your wrist. The negatives clipped over string, the air all sharp and still. A family came that afternoon, 3 children, coats and rain. The youngest would not hold his chin, the father smiled in vain. Now one small print lay silver pale, their faces nearly gone, and you leaned closer to the tray as if it could hold on. The timer clicked beside the glass, the sink gave one low sound. You did not lift the paper yet, you let the light stay bound. Hold it in the fixer, not too long, not too soon. Let the faces find their way beneath the little moon. I watched the picture clear and saw how carefully a hand can keep the loved ones near. The mother's glove showed first in gray, the baby's ribbon next, a chair leg, then the father's sleeve, then one small dimpled neck. You rocked the tray from side to side with patience in the red, until the blurred and almost lost came living up instead. I came to fetch a passport frame, that was the reason made, but all my errand thinned away beside that shallow shade. You rinsed the print and held it high, then smiled, almost surprised, as if a room could give back time when no one advertised. You pegged it gently to the line, still shining from the bath, and 4 wet faces trembled there like breath upon a path. Let the white turn true, let what nearly slipped from sight return because of you. Hold it in the fixer, plain work under red, yet something in that little room refuse to lose the dead. Some things vanish quickly there, a blink, a child, a year. A shoulder moved, a mouth half laughed, a father standing near. But once in a while, through careful dark, what almost went away is given back a sharper edge, and somewhere safe to stay. Hold it in the fixer till the image knows its name, not as it was meant to be, but saved enough the same. Hold it in the fixer, I think of it tonight. Your fingers under Redroom glass, teaching shadow how to light.
Twilight clung to window glass. The floorboards held the blue. A magnolia breathed below. The room was washed in dew. The canvas waited pale and still. The jars were lined in gray. No phonograph, no footstep yet. Only the edge of day. My silhouette beside the pane looked thinner than the night, as if one sigh could tilt the dark and let in tender light. Before the first brush, the whole hushed room began to glow with something only dawn could know. Before the first brush, a teardrop trembled near my hand, then vanished where it shone. The little saucer by the sink held one last star alone. I had no need of grander signs, no serenade above, for every jar and folded rag seemed full of waking love. The window glass turned warm with gold. The shadows lost their place. A reverie moved through the room and touched my lifted face. No masterpiece had yet begun. No color kissed the white, and still I felt the morning come like velvet over light.
what quiet beauty does. It waits beside an ordinary thing and makes a world of us before the first brush. The whole hushed room began to glow with something only dawn could know. Before the first brush, at last I laid the color down. The blue gave way to gold. Still one small hush remained to bless the moment I could hold.
The kettle has forgotten steam. The hallway clock speaks low. A phonograph begins to turn where firelight used to glow. You move the mending from the chair. I set the teacups by. The rug lies waiting in the lamplight, like something warm and shy. The rug between us still knows the turn our footsteps choose. Darling, the room grows young again. The rug between us, your silhouette in evening blue falls soft on wall and door. The old waltz comes in thin and sweet across the polished floor. One hand upon my shoulder rests. One sigh becomes a smile, and all the years between our first and this seem less a while. The record hums, the lampshade glows, a spoon gives back a gleam. Outside the winter keeps the street, inside we keep the dream. No ballroom kept us half so well, no grand serenade knew how much one little room can hold when I am here with you. The embers lose their crimson edge, the window takes the night, yet every slow and faithful turn makes plain what time made bright. The rug between us still knows the turn our footsteps choose. Darling, the room grows young again. The rug between us, the record finds its final groove, then settles into rest
cheek lay on my chest.
The day had left its water rings upon the wicker stand. The screen door gave its sleepy tap against the darkening land. The rain came in on cedar smell and dimmed the garden blue. You brought the quilt without a word in squares of faded blue. You laid the storm across my knees before it reached my skin, and all the porch grew close and warm with weather pressing in. I still can hear the old ropes creak, the soft boards answering. The whole long night learned how to stay. The quilt on the porch swing. We did not speak of larger things, the town, the bills, the year. You only tucked one corner down where rain ran cool and near, then sat beside me close enough to make the thunder mild, and every patched and weathered square turned homely, close and kind. No vow was waiting in the dark, no bright dramatic scene, only your hand along the hem to keep the draft between. And ever since, when summer breaks in leaf and wire and limb, I think how plain old cotton cloth can draw the whole world in. You lay the storm across my knees before it found my bones, and all the rain beyond the rail seemed far as other towns. I still can feel the swing move once, then settle everything. As if the heart had always known. The quilt on the porch swing. By morning it was folded back across the painted slat, still one small damp and cooling place, remembered where we sat. fitting rooms had given back their voices to the wall, and on the counter near the pins the little bell stood small. You check the hem by window light, then smooth the tissue sleeve. A pattern book lay open wide where summer leaned to leave. The satin hangers clicked behind the curtains' printed rows. A spool rolled once beneath the chair and stopped beside your shoes. The bride was due at 4:30, her mother due at 5. You set the gown across both arms as if it were alive, then touched the bell beside the till and turned its ribbon through until the bow sat straight enough for someone frightened too. The ribbon on the bell, pale against the brass, was only there to call a hand when customers should pass. The ribbon on the bell, I watched you make it right, and felt a little shop become a chapel full of light. The bride came in with gloves half on, her veil box at her side, and tried to smile the way one does when all the seams decide. You did not praise the dress too much or make the mirror kind. You only pinned the shoulder close and let her breathe in time. The bell gave out one silver sound when mother reached the door, then quieted beneath the bow as if it knew what for. You turned the train, you checked the waist, you clipped one thread away and left no trace of all the care that held her through the day. No organ played, no candles stood, no vows were spoken there, only muslin, chalk and lace, a girl afraid of air. Yet some rooms learn a holy thing by how a hand behaves, not changing what the hour will ask, but helping someone stay. The ribbon on the bell, still and neatly tied, held the smallest part of June before she stepped outside. The ribbon on the bell, not garland, ring or prayer, only proof that tenderness had passed its fingers there. At closing time the blinds came down, the pattern books were still, and on the counter, softly bowed, the bell kept all its will.
lamps came on above the stream, one by one, then two. The river took their trembling gold and pulled it long and blue. The office doors had emptied out in ledgers, hats, and haste. The bridge kept all our weekday feet in one familiar pace. I saw it first before I saw your face against the veil. That length of wool I knew as yours, the scarf on the rail. You always came before I did and leaned there toward the tide, as if the whole day only kept a little room beside. No bouquet bright, no practiced line, no grand and public tale, just evening iron river wind, the scarf on the rail. You'd looped it through the blackened bars to free your hands from cold. One glove around the paper cup, one hand the railing held. The steam went briefly through your hair, then vanished in the dim. And all at once the bridge we crossed each day grew close and warm with him. No promise had to make itself above that traffic hum. We knew the hour, the corner light, the step by which I'd come. And love, when it has learned the week, grows punctual and plain. It hangs its little banner first against the dark and rain. You always came before I did and left one sign in view. So even from the farthest end, the bridge was already you. And still when winter takes the lamps and dusk comes early pale, I think of all that waited there, the scarf on the river kept on under us. The cup went empty thin. You took the wool back to your throat and tucked the whole sky in.
The exchange was lit by one desk lamp. The wall clock nearing 2, and rain along the tin roof seams kept tapping something through. You sat before the switchboard there, with pencils in a jar. The cotton cords in hanging rows, the town asleep and far. A doctor called from County Road. His voice came thin and crossed. A mother in the hospital had asked before she lost. Her son was somewhere west of Rome on work no train could mend. You slip, then kept one jack reserved until the end. You let the other callers wait, then watched the small lights burn as if a life could hold its breath, until a voice returned. Hold the line clear, hold the line clear. Let no idle word come in where one boy must appear. Hold the line clear, no one in town would know how carefully you guarded space for love to travel slow. The night clerk asked for Bedford, Maine. A farmer tried the mill. The rain went hard against the roof, then softened on the sill. You answered each with quiet hands, then moved the cord aside, so nothing crossed that waiting place where distance had to ride. At 3, the overseas call came back, a crackle, then a name. You leaned close to the mouthpiece there and did not sound the same. Hold on, you said, and patched him through, your finger on the key. And all the room grew still enough to hear what could not be. You looked away before they spoke, but left the circuit true. The rain kept time for every word that passed because of you. Hold the line clear, hold the line clear, till the miles grow small enough for one voice to come near. Hold the line clear, plain work beneath the light. Yet all of October leaned in close across that wire tonight. Some partings where no station smoke, no waving from a door. They wait inside a numbered room and ask the wires for more. And some hands know the mercy of doing less, not more, keeping the world from speaking until one voice comes ashore. Hold the line clear, hold the line clear, for the word that has to find the one who needs to hear. Hold the line clear, I saw your hand stay still, and learn that silence held with care can carry what words will.
The pool bell rang at 4:30. The whistles lost their bite, and July shone along the tiles in squares of watery light. She stood beside the towel desk there, with soap upon one sleeve, the wire basket stacked by number, the air too warm to leave. A boy came in with goggles lost, 2 sisters shared a comb. The lifeguard shook his canvas shoes and called the last ones home. Then near the bench, a little girl rose slowly from her chair. held in her fist 2 bright new crutches there. Her mother reached to take her arm. The child pulled back with pride. The wet floor waited blue and still between the bench and side. She saw the shining danger first, before a foot had found that one slick square beside the drain where laughter thinned the sound. No warning crossed the locker room, no pity filled the place. She only took a folded towel and bent with quiet grace. She dried the tile from edge to edge, then stepped behind the door. So what had nearly caught the child was only floor once more. Dry the tile first, let the crossing be. Let a little borrowed courage move where none can see. Dry the tile first, plain cotton blue and white. Yet all the room grew safer there before she entered light. Some falls are stopped before they fall. Some kindness leaves no trace. A towel folded back again, a hand not shown its place. And some who know the tender art of helping without claim can clear the smallest shining square and never call it shame. Dry the tile first, let the crutches ring. Let her reach the doorway proud as if she did the thing. Dry the tile first, no ribbon, no applause. Only a quiet patch of floor where fear forgot its cause. The basket slept, the pool went dark, the towel cart rolled away. And near the drain, one Drier Square held summer for the day.